Hi everyone, this is Tony Ericetti with some information about the upcoming Narrative Medicine Workshop. Just a quick background about narrative medicine. Rita Sharon, pictured here, started this program at Columbia about 20 years ago, and she's a MD and PhD in English literature and was really interested in hearing about the stories of patients, feeling that we gather a lot of data about patients, but we don't really understand the background, what their story is, how they think about their disease and illness and so forth, how they live with their condition. So she started to develop this program in an effort to also help physicians and healthcare workers through the humanities deal with some of the stresses and burnout issues that they were dealing with every day through the careful consideration of art and the discussion about it. So narrative medicine can be an approach to helping SPs deal with the psychological, physical, and emotional stresses and the triggers that come up when they take on and simulate a disease process. And I often wonder what's the effect on them and those that actually train them, you, the SP educators. That said, this is not a train the trainers workshop in training you to do narrative medicine. For that, I would refer you to Columbia's program in narrative medicine if you're interested in actually being a practitioner. In this workshop, we're going to be doing a close reading of a story by SP educator Ginny Dirda from NYSIM in New York. It's a story about a trainer who travels through her workday when memories of her parents suddenly appear, and Ginny will be there at the workshop and will read her story to us. So this is how the workshop is going to work. First, we're going to be doing a close reading ahead of time of Ginny's story. And a close reading is a thoughtful, critical analysis of a piece of art. And the art can be anything. It can be a painting, a film, a poem, a text, a short story. But we want to look at the significant details, the patterns that develop, the craft, the meanings that we have gleaned from reading her story. And then we're going to have a discussion. How did it resonate with you? How did the story actually touch you? What did it do to you as you're reading her story? You could perhaps relate to some of the issues that she's going to be bringing up as an SP educator. When you read her story, read it closely by reading with a pen or a pencil or a marker, something that will help you to make some notes, and mark up the story. Draw lines around significant words or boxes or arrows or circles and connect these thoughts, whatever your thoughts are, with lines and arrows. Draw on the margins and try to think deeply about what's going on in the story. And it's helpful to go through the story a couple times. It's only one page, so that won't be too stressful or too hard to do. And then ask yourself these questions. Who's in the story? Where are they? When is this taking place? What do you see in your mind when you're reading this story, and how does it feel to you? So we want to resonate to her piece and come up with our own meanings of the piece and what it does for us and to us. And one thing that you might think about is, what other works of art does this remind you of? About the discussion of her piece, together we're going to co-construct the meaning of it. So we're going to be working together to analyze the piece, but not asking her what she means by it. She'll be doing that at the end. There will be some time at the end in which we can talk to her about the piece, where it came from, and so forth. So you're probably curious about that, but we're not there to get her meaning out of it during this close reading part and the discussion. That we're going to be working together almost as if she's not in the room. She's going to be listening after she does her reading and we have our discussion. But the idea here is that the meaning of the art is really co-constructed between the artist, her, and us, the readers. And one of the interesting maxims of narrative medicine is the last person to understand the meaning of their art is the artist themselves. So we will help her to understand what perhaps she meant. What were some of the hidden meanings in her piece that she wasn't even aware of? The discussion of her work, or any work of art, requires radical listening. And what that means is hearing others' opinions, their stories, their interpretation, their point of view of the story wholly without interrupting them, without judging or offering help. Because narrative medicine isn't therapy, or it's not really about problem solving. It's got some therapeutic benefits, of course, as you will see, but we're not there to help. We're really there to listen and to understand and resonate from a deep place within us. Another method that we'll practice is what's called reflective writing to a prompt. And what this means is that after our discussion about her piece, I'm going to ask people to write for about 3 minutes about the personal meaning that they derive from listening and reading the art piece. And so it really does, again, require some resonating to the art, to what others have said, hearing each other's thoughts, and then sharing our writing, which is optional but encouraged during this part. Here's an example of how I used it in my workplace with a group of staff. And this was a group of IT people and admins. And I had them look at this work by Canadian artist Robert Pope called Visitors. Had them really look at it, look at the point of view of whoever is lying on the bed all the way out to the horizon, and ask them to note where this is taking place, when, what do you see, how does it feel, and share their thoughts in a group. Then I gave them a writing prompt, write about a time you were cared for. And when I gave the prompt, I said you could really do anything. You could write a poem, you could draw a picture, you could tell a story. It could really take any form, but commit on paper to your thoughts, feelings, and ideas. And that's different than a discussion. With a discussion, you could take it back in your mind, but when you write something or put something on paper, you're really committed to that thought. Here's some of the rules about the reflective writing part of this. First, it's optional. You don't have to read, but you would be asked to write something down. And of course, we're not going to see it. But if you do share it, you're going to just read it without a preamble, without apologizing for poor grammar or anything. Again, you're going to be asked to write quickly for about 3 minutes in which your pen or pencil will not leave the page. You try to do this without censoring yourself. But then if you're going to share it, don't set it up. Don't put it in context. Just perform it. Just read it for us. A couple things about participating in this exercise. One thing I think about a lot is courage. It takes courage to get up and express your opinion and stand by it. And I think so many of us have been traumatized by the educational system we grew up in which we're expected to only give the right answer, and we're ashamed if we don't give the right answer. Here, we really want to hear your opinion. We want to hear each other out. We want to listen to each other and not judge what we're hearing. With that said, a really important issue, though, is trust, that whatever gets said in this room stays in this room. So it operates very much like an AA or a 12-step program where whatever you hear stays here, because that's really an important piece of this. Essentially, it's a community building process based on acceptance of each other's points of view, an understanding that meaning is ambiguous. There is no one meaning to practically anything, and that this whole process is built on trust, which we need, of course, in order to work, and especially in working with our standardized patients, we need to build trust there. So this is a way to do it, through careful consideration of art and discussion about it. So we really look forward to seeing you at the workshop, and if you have any questions, just reach out and drop me a line, and I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Thanks, everyone. See you then.